So starting with women's strawweight, obviously Rose Namajunas is the champion now. She's got 2 wins over Ioana and Jacek, 1 to win the belt and 1 defending it.
Mhm.
She hasn't fought since then, right?
No.
Okay. Who's your women's strawweight champion? Do we want to go the same order that we do for picks or what?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the women's strawweight. I think honestly, this is the most. This belt is the most susceptible to changing hands this year. It all depends on when Rose fights, honestly. But I think Rose is the most vulnerable champion, and I think Jessica Andrade ends up with the belt at the end of 2019. I think if they fight, Andrade has a striking advantage over Namajunas. I think if it gets to the ground, Andrade can handle herself there. I don't see a spot where Namajunas is significantly better enough. Is significantly oh my god. Is significantly better than Rose Namajunas. Oh, I'm fucking this all up.
I know.
I don't think Rose is good enough anywhere to completely outclass Jessica Andrade and take a fight from her. I think Jessica Andrade finds a way to beat Rose Namajunas if they end up fighting.
To play devil's advocate,
I struggle through that.
Rose outstruck Joanna in that fight. And both of them.
Joanna doesn't have power.
It's fair. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Andrade was very much in the fight with Joanna and Jacek, too.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Brendan, who's champion?
Rose Namajunas. I think she fights maximum 1 time this year. I don't think she fights twice.
I kind of feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she definitely has to fight this year. So, in saying that, I think she fights 1 time, which is looking like Andrade, however you fucking say her name. I think she wins. It's also easier to pick the champion, which is going to be a common theme for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I have Namajunas.
Obviously, the favorite to hold the belt at the end of the year is going to be whoever has the belt now.
Right.
It's just like who's the most vulnerable to losing it, and I think Rose is the most vulnerable if she ends up fighting. Like, I don't know what about it makes me feel that way, but I do agree that I think she only fights once. It's been a while since she's fought already, but even still, I don't think we see her fight more than 1 time this year.
100%. I also have Andrade as being champion at the end of the year for a lot of the reasons that you said. I think that she was in the fight against Joanna. I just don't think she had quite enough. She's much more of a Claudia Gadelia type of fighter in the sense that more of a grappler that throws harder, not necessarily technical punches.
I think she's a better striker than
Claudia. Yes, I think she is. But I also think that she just didn't have enough gas to beat Joanna. But I think she's going to be good enough to beat Rose.
And then next is women's flyweight, which is currently held by Valentina Shevchenko. She won the belt from Joanna and Jacek just a month ago. I think Valentina easily holds this belt to 2019. I think she probably fights at least twice.
Mm-hmm.
Not really much to say. I think she's significantly better than anybody in that division, and anybody she could possibly face for that belt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know who her most likely fight is next. Like, it's going to be such a bum that it doesn't really matter. I think Shevchenko easily holds this belt through 2019 and probably through 2020.
Shevchenko holding the belt too. I don't think any fighter. You got Jessica Ai. That's she's looks like the number 1.
Yeah,
contender.
when Jessica Ai is the number 1 contender in your division, you're going to keep your belt if you're Valentina Shevchenko.
I also have Shevchenko. I mean, we pretty much said everything.
It's pretty obvious.
I think she's the strongest, least likely to lose her belt.
Oof. Women's bantamweight, Amanda Nunes is the current champion. Obviously, we've seen what she did in her last fight, but that wasn't at bantamweight. Her last fight at bantamweight was Pennington, Shevchenko.
I think it was Pennington.
But I think Nunes holds the belt to 2019 either. A lot of the same reasons as Shevchenko holds hers. Just because I don't think there's enough talent underneath her for somebody to rise up and take it from her.
I think everybody in probably the top 3 or 5, everybody probably in the division, I think she has the capability of finishing.
Yeah,
and I think that's crazy to say that this champion can finish this person, this person, this person, and this person. It's pretty like a wide gap in talent. So I have Nunes keeping the belt.
I also have Nunes. I think the only likely challenge to her at 135 is probably Tatiana Suarez. I think she's a...
Nope, that's 125.
Dang, I thought she was 135. Even then...
Actually.
I could have... Maybe she's 115.
Yeah, she's 115. She's number 3 at 115.
Wow. 115. It's not... I don't think Rose is going to be champion, guys. If I'm talking about Tatiana Suarez beating Nunes, I don't know then. I don't think that...
Here's who's under...
But is that fight going to happen? You don't know.
What?
You were just saying Suarez and...
Suarez... Rose. Yeah. I think if Suarez could beat Nunes, she definitely could beat Rose.
But is that
if
fight
it doesn't
gonna
happen, I think Andrade beats her. I think Suarez beats her.
But I'm saying the likely chance that will happen.
I just said what I said. If she fights Andrade, which is probably her next fight, I think she loses.
This is who Rose has underneath her at 115. Jessica Andrade, Joanna Jacek, Nina Ansaroff, Tatiana Suarez, Claudia Gadelha, Karolina Kovacevic. I think all of those fighters could beat Rose. Joanna is not going to have to worry about it, obviously, because she beat her twice already. Gadelha and Kovacevic are obviously lesser challenges, but Andrade, Ansaroff, Suarez, I think any of those could take the belt from Rose.
Yeah.
If you look at who's under Amanda Nunes, Jermaine Durandamy, Holly Holm, she hasn't fought Holly Holm.
No,
right?
that's the only one that she hasn't.
Jermaine Durandamy, Holly Holm, Ketlin Vieta, Raquel Pennington, Kat Zingano, Marion Renew. None of those fighters are beating Amanda Nunes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can't even see a significant challenge to her because I thought Tatiana Suarez was 135 and she's 115. So.
And then women's featherweight is kind of just a hot mess. Like, it's either going to be Nunes or it's going to be a non-existent vacant belt.
Yeah, I think if the division is around, it'll be Nunes, but I don't think it will be because the only way it's either Nunes or Cyborg or it doesn't exist.
Right. Do you even have a take for 145, Brendan? Women's 145.
No.
Bryce. Basically,
Nunes, Cyborg, or vacant.
I had another point I was going to say. If UFC does Holly Holm versus Amanda Nunes, they do it at 135, right? They don't make it at 145.
I think they do it at 135. Yeah.
Like 145 is just dead then, right?
Yeah.
Cyborg-
Unless Cyborg is.
The only way that 145 sees another fight, and even if they do this, I don't think that sees another one after that, is if they do a Nunes Cyborg rematch.
Yeah, and then Megan Anderson's back to Invicta.
Yeah.
Because she's a true 145er. I don't think she could get down to 135.
Probably not. She's very tall.
Mm-hmm. She's like 6 feet tall, it looks like.
Yeah, she's large. So then moving on to the men's weight classes. We start off with flyweight, which is another division that's kind of in question because Mighty Mouse getting traded. They're letting go of 125ers. So we're not really sure the state of this division, but we do have a championship fight scheduled between Henry Cejudo, the flyweight champion, and the bantamweight champion, TJ Dillashaw. I think the flyweight champion at the end of the year is either TJ Dillashaw because he wins from Henry Cejudo and then doesn't defend it, or it's another vacant belt.
Brendan?
I think TJ Dillashaw will hold the belt by the end of the year.
Do you think he defends it if he wins it from Cejudo?
I don't know, but I think Cejudo will not win that fight. And in saying that, I would think Dillashaw will be the champ.
I think that once TJ wins, because that's who I think will win. I think it's a very close fight, though, since, I mean, that's Cejudo's division, and he just beat one of the best ever in Mighty Mouse. But I think TJ wins, and then they're going to kill that division.
So you're calling for a non-existent belt.
Yeah.
At the end of 2019. Bantamweight champion, currently held by TJ Dillashaw. As we said, his next fight is against Henry Cejudo at flyweight, not for TJ's belt. Looking at the bantamweight rankings, TJ's kind of beat everybody who's an intriguing fight or an legitimate contender
healthy.
In that division.
Or
healthy, yeah. I don't see TJ Dillashaw losing the belt. I think he only defends it once, but I think he makes it through 2019 as the champion.
I think he would lose if the belt if Cruz is healthy, but Cruz is never healthy, so I got Dillashaw.
I also have Dillashaw.
Then moving on to featherweight, Max Holloway, the current champion, just defended against Brian Ortega. He only fought once in 2018, so we don't know how many times we'll see him fight in 2019. We don't know if we'll be seeing him at 145 in 2019. That being said, I think Max holds the belt through 2019 because I don't necessarily see them stripping him if they have him move up to fight Khabib. I don't know how many times he fights this year. If he defends, I don't think he defends more than once, but I don't think anybody at 145 is taking the belt from Max this year.
I have Max holding the belt too. We were just talking about how that division's starting to get cleared out. He has no real clear-cut favorite to fight him, so I have Max.
I also have Max for reasons we've discussed.
At 155, the champion is Khabib. As I said, I don't think Khabib fights in 2019. Therefore, I don't see him losing the belt. So I think Khabib is the champion at the end of 2019, but I think we have an interim champion at 155.
Who?
Tony?
Probably.
I am on track with you. I think at the end of 2019, Khabib will be the champion, but at the end of 2020, he will not be. Whether that's because he's fighting or he is fighting and is not the champion he lost.
I feel that.
I think that if he doesn't fight in 2019, by the end of the year, he'll be stripped.
I don't.
I think if it's like a refusal to fight,
Yeah.
he would.
But Conor McGregor held the belt for quite a while without defending it too.
I think they'd rather
Little
strip
different.
Khabib than Conor, though. So
Do what?
I think they'd be quicker to strip Khabib than Conor.
Much.
I don't necessarily disagree, but we've kind of already seen the blueprint for this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The big-headed champion who doesn't defend the belt and holds it for longer than he should without defending it.
Yeah.
So I see him as still holding the belt at the end of the year.
I have him as holding the belt because I think he's going to fight, and I think he just wins whoever it is he fights, whether it's Conor or Tony.
No interim belt.
If he doesn't fight, there will be, and if it is, it's going to be Tony.
I can't wait for the day Khabib loses, because this dude's gonna lose soon, at some point. You were saying
know.
the same fucking thing.
I
For
know.
You say the same thing for. We say the same thing for every.
Yeah, we'll be saying the same for Amanda Nunes at some point, but it's just like right now you just don't see it. You know what I mean?
We didn't see against for DJ. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen within 3
You're
years.
probably right, but it's
If
just
he
like
fights.
if you look at it, it's like ooh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe Tony, but I don't know. I don't see that either.
Conor.
Mm.
I feel like somebody's gonna catch him. I don't think they're gonna necessarily beat him.
Do you
at
think
his own
that's
game.
the way Khabib goes out? You think somebody knocks him out?
Yeah.
I think so, too. I think he's going to get caught, and he's not going to be
And
aware enough when someone jumps on top of him.
I think that's the only way we're gonna see John Jones lose if he ever loses. Somebody's gonna catch him.
I think John Jones and Khabib are similar in a way where I don't see the game catching up to them, and that's how they lose, like it did Anderson Silva.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just
Oh, I think that's like not the best comparison because once Anderson lost, he lost again and again.
But I think
Well,
that's because
yeah.
the game caught up to him, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I see
Same
what you're
happened
saying.
with Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, Ronda Rousey.
Game didn't catch up to GSP, though.
No, GSP might still be ahead of the game, honestly.
Yeah.
And then moving on to 170, current champion Tyron Woodley. We discussed him earlier. He's fighting Cameron Usman. Apparently in his next fight, Colby Covington, a contender. But I don't think any of those guys are good enough to beat Woodley. I've said this before. I don't think Woodley is all that uber talented or anything. He's just a tough matchup for anybody, and I think he can beat anybody in his division right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anybody who can take the belt from Woodley this year.
I think it's the same exact thing with Khabib. 2019 holds the belt. 2020 we will see a new champion.
I think Woodley defends the belt 2 or 3 times, though.
Yeah,
I think-
he's one of the most active champions.
Mhm.
I would say.
Yeah, I think he'll defend it twice. He'll beat Usman, and then he'll beat Covington. I think he's going to finish Covington, but I think that the Usman fight is going to kind of suck.
I agree.
I think he's very, very beatable. Like Khabib is much more unbeatable than Woodley is in a sense, in my opinion, because I think Woodley could, if somebody pressures Woodley and doesn't get lured into Woodley's own game, kind of like how his recent fights have been going, you beat him.
Like
It's all about
maybe.
it's about a game plan, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
Attacking
Like,
it.
Woodley might be the most beatable male champion right now.
Yeah, he might be,
He
but
might be the most beatable champion.
yeah.
I just don't like. The only person who's even come close in this run,
And I think
was
Usman is.
Wonder Boy for like a second.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say,
I
Brendan?
think Usman is getting less of a chance than he deserves.
Maybe.
I think that it's a good fight because they match up tit for tat pretty well. I just don't know if he's going to be good enough.
The reason I'm not giving Usman all that much credit is because I think they fight similarly, but Woodley's better at everything that Usman can do. So, did you
Middleweight.
give Bryce?
Hold on.
You said Woodley, right?
Yeah, but I forgot what I was going to say because you dropped something. Crap.
That's a weird way to forget
You
something.
can tell me about it. I think that the most underrated part of Tyron Woodley's game, which is I think the best part of GSP's also, is his fight IQ. His
Yeah.
preparation leading up to a fight, and him just not caring what people think about his
Exactly.
performances.
The
like
Damian
that
Maia
Damian
fight.
Maia fight is exactly what comes to mind. I even called out that fight in that post. Like, that fight sucked, but he won, and he didn't care what people thought because
Ow,
he did exactly
motherfucker.
what he had to do.
Moving on to middleweight. Current champion is Robert Whitaker. Has a fight scheduled with Kelvin Gastelum. I think Kelvin Gastelum takes the belt, and I think he holds it through the year. We've seen Whitaker be rocked by Yoel Romero, notably. Yoel Romero doesn't have the killer instinct like we've talked about on this show. At least he didn't show it in that fight if he does have it. And I think Kelvin hits pretty goddamn hard himself, and he does have the killer instinct that Yoel Romero doesn't have. I guess this is a prediction for their upcoming fight, but I think Kelvin Woodley. I think Kelvin Gastelum knocks out Robert Whitaker. I think he takes his belt, and I think he holds it through the rest of the year by defending it again.
I think Robert Whitaker takes the belt or keeps the belt through 2019, but there's so many guys he can. I think he can definitely lose to Yoel, definitely use the Souza, definitely lose to Gastelum, definitely Israel, and probably Paulo Acosta.
It's
There's
crazy.
so many guys I think he could lose to.
When Weidman was a champion at 185, it was a pretty weak division.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden it's full of killers.
Just monsters everywhere.
Bryce.
I have Israel Adesanya being my champion.
Whoa.
I'm not 100% sure who's going to win between Whitaker or Gastelum, but I think after Adesanya demolishes Anderson Silva, he's going to make a clever call out of the champion, and he walks that walk, and he's going to talk that talk, and he's going to win that belt.
I don't think he can get it in one fight. I think he has to beat somebody after Silva and then possibly get it.
I don't think so,
That's-
man.
I hope he gets it.
I don't think it's a hot take that Adesanya beats Whitaker or Gastelum. I just don't think he necessarily fights for the belt this year. I think he's willing to take it slow.
I think he is, but if he decides, I think he's going to decide after he beats Anderson Silva that he wants to fight
He's
whoever
living
it
that
is.
high life after fucking beats one of the goats.
I think he's, especially if Robert Whitaker wins, because I think he's more likely to beat Whitaker than Gastelum.
That's a take. Yeah, I think he could definitely beat both of them. I don't think it's a hot take that he can win the title. I just don't think he fights for it this year. That's why I'm. What was that, Bryce?
I had an itch.
But yeah, it's interesting that it shows you how good 185 is that we just picked 3 different champions.
Yeah,
to
and that's
finish
the only
year.
division where I think that's possible. Actually, we'll talk about. I'm sure there's another one that
there's-
it's going to be pretty wide open.
Light heavyweight, current champions John Jones. DC relinquished the belt for Jones to win it against Gustafsson, although Jones beat DC twice, so on and so forth. Bryce thinks John Jones is going to fight 3 times this year, but since it's John Jones, I think John Jones. I'm picking Jones to hold the belt through 2019, but I think we have an interim champion at 205, or we don't have a champion.
You think he's going to get stripped for something again?
Yes.
Do you want to call out what? I want to know what you think it'll be this time.
Probably failed drug test again.
Yeah.
Or, we don't even know how the current one gets resolved.
Well, I mean, USADA says they're not going to do anything about it.
It's about what Nevada decides they want to do.
Exactly. And right now, 235 scheduled to be in Vegas. So, their fight with Anthony Smith is also dependent on him getting licensed by Nevada. I thought I had to sneeze.
Jones is the most likely champion, but I think it's just as likely we have an interim champion or a vacant belt in that division.
John Jones, clear-cut champion 2019
How many times do you think he fights?
twice.
Both at 205?
Yes.
3 times. 1 time at heavyweight.
And do you think he's still the 205 champion, obviously?
Yeah, I do.
And then heavyweight. I think this is going to be a hotly contested one as well. Current champion DC, but it looks like DC's retiring after his next fight, which will either be against Stipe Miocic or Brock Lesnar, apparently. It's a kind of a mess at the top of 265 after Daniel Cormier.
Such a mess.
Stipe beat Ngannou, but that fight could definitely happen again.
And
Anything could happen at 265, really.
yeah.
So my prediction for the champion at the end of 2019, here's what I think happens exactly.
Okay, ready for it.
I think I think DC fights and beats whoever he fights. It's either Stipe or Brock Lesnar. I think he wins either of those fights. Then I think the belt ends up on probably... DC's going to fight Brock.
Okay.
DC's going to win. The belt is going to be vacated.
DC's going to beat Brock.
Yes. The belt's going to be
the fact that-
vacated.
Are you not agreeing with that?
I think it's a pretty hot take. Not a hot take, but I think that's
A bold prediction.
a bold prediction.
I think the belt is vacated after DC beats Brock. I think Stipe ends up with the belt. I think Kane beats Ngannou. I think Stipe and Kane fight for the belt. Kane beats Stipe. Kane's the champion at the end of the day.
Fuck yeah, I want Kane to be champ.
That's exactly what I think happens. If DC fights Stipe, things get a little stickier. I don't know what happens then.
I hope your prediction's right, but I don't think
But
that
either way,
happens.
I think even if Stipe ends up winning the belt from DC, or DC beats Stipe and it's vacated and then ends up on someone, I still think Kane ends up the champion. If he's not the champion at the end of the year, I think Kane holds the belt at some point in 2019. Boys, is that a take?
We're gonna see. What do you got?
I got anybody being the champ but DC.
Anyone but yeah. I want a name. Who put out a name? December 31st, clock strikes midnight. Who's holding that strap?
Stipe and Miocic. If that happened, I think it's because I think DC wins his next fight probably, and then he vacates the belt, and then Stipe Miocic will just happen to be the number 1 contender at the time, and he'll get the belt.
That's not a crazy take either. Like I said, anything can happen at 265 right now, Bryce.
But I'm not saying that DC definitely won't have the belt because he loses. Because I definitely make myself seem like the biggest DC hater on this show.
You do.
Do you
But
think
I don't
DC
think he loses.
Anybody at heavyweight right now, do you feel like Cormier loses to?
He can lose to Stipe. He can lose to anybody. I don't know if he does.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I couldn't pick somebody until fight week because it's that close in my opinion.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm. And I think a Stipe rematch would be very interesting because I feel like Stipe is a smart enough fighter
He's
to
a
fix
gamer.
that hole.
I picked Stipe the first time,
Yeah.
so
I don't know if I feel like I might.
I might have just
I
made
think
that
I
up,
picked
honestly.
Stipe.
I might be lying. I don't know.
I had to pick Stipe.
I don't know who I picked. I feel like I might have. I don't know. I'm not even going to try to throw myself out there. So I don't think Buju has a hot take at all because I have Cain Velasquez holding the belt at the end of 2019. And this is the way I see it playing out. Much like you had. Brock's going to come back and he's going to fight DC. He's going to lose in a decision.
Oh, okay. 5-round decision?
5 rounds.
Who?
Brock and DC.
Wow.
That'd be such a wild
If that
fight.
happens, that has to be like fucking fight of the year.
That'd be-
Heavyweight 5-round war.
I don't know if it'll be a war, though.
I said this to the guy that I work with who's a MMA fan. He also happens to be a high school wrestling coach, too, assistant high school wrestling coach. I said, what if DC and Brock go in there and they just have an amateur wrestling match, an Olympic wrestling match for 5
That'd be
rounds?
wild. So that
That would. Never mind. Just go.
DC beats Brock. DC retires, so it's vacated.
Mm-hmm.
Along the way, in I think it's February in Phoenix, Cain probably, unfortunately, beats Francis Ngannou.
Whoa, you like Ngannou more than Velasquez?
I said Cain beats Ngannou. I like Ngannou more than Velasquez.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's my African father.
Wow, but a Mexican guy? That's surprising.
I'm a big Daddy Frank guy here. So that happens. Then the belt's vacated. So International Fight Week.
We're giving dates.
Yeah, International Fight Week. It's gonna be a heavyweight showdown against Stipe and Cain for the vacant heavyweight title.
I can see
Cain
that.
wins and he doesn't fight for the rest of the year because he gets hurt.
I like how we all had pretty specific predictions for the heavyweight.
Yeah, because I mean,
I don't have a
is,
specific prediction. I said anybody but DC. You guys
Yeah.
just lured me into a more specific.
we needed that.
But like I could see Ngannou end up ending up as the champion. I could see Stipe end up ending up as the champion. I don't really see a path for Derek Lewis,
No,
but I don't. It's pretty open. Like Junior Dos Santos could end up with the belt this year.
and he could.
It's very open at 265 right now. Anything could honestly happen.